Prof Phakeng has sort of given you an idea of what the partnership, this African Humanities series, is about. But the question that I want to start by answering is why the series, because he told you what it involves, but why the series and what makes it a worthy project for us as a university to be a publishing partner. Why? First is that our strength as a university currently lies in the humanities, and we've been asserting the focus on Africa for a number of years, which is enshrined in our vision, the African University in the service of humanity. But secondly, as a university, we believe that the humanities are important because of their ability to understand the human condition. The humanities help us to understand others through their languages, histories, and cultures. They foster social justice and equality, and they reveal how people have tried to make moral, spiritual, and intellectual sense of the world. They teach us to deal critically with the logically with subjective, complex, and imperfect information. And they teach us to weigh evidence critically and consider more than one side of every question. They teach us to reason about being human and to ask questions about our world. It is through the humanities that we develop as informed and critical citizens. Colleagues, without the humanities, democracy could not flourish. But why the African humanities? Why not just the humanities series? Why did we call it the African Humanities series? What does inserting the word African enable us to do with the series that we would not be able to do if the series were just called the Humanities series? How are the African humanities different from the humanities? We regard the notion of African humanities as a large spectrum of scholarships which transact across a range of philosophical positions, born of early knowledges from the cradle of humankind in Southern and East Africa, through to the ancient kingdoms of Aksum and Shanghai, and many others across the continent, to the theorists of modern Africa such as Nkrumah, Fanon, Biko, Hontonji, and many others, many in this lecture room this afternoon. There are also poets, musicians, artists, and novelists who have kept the fires of liberation and peace alive when politics and philosophy were subdued by oppression. Colleagues, Africa needs to speak to the classical humanities, hence the name, the African Humanities series is very appropriate. We hope that through this series, we can assert a particular tradition or a set of traditions of the humanities, where Africa speaks to the humanities and the humanities speaks to Africa. This series is about Africa infusing the humanities with the ideas of the continent, its regionalisms, its diversity, its spiritualities, its stories, and its imagination. If you think about it, the African humanities are distinctive in that they do not separate the arts and the sciences. And the work of the late Nabudere, for example, illustrates that very well. It is much more about an integrated set of knowledges which draws on the scientific and the social. It is a pity that in a modern university, asserting the humanities often leads to setting up a binary between the sciences and the humanities. My view, therefore, is that the African Humanities series must challenge the separate spheres, the two cultures debate, which often pits funding of science against funding of the humanities. So I'm sure you're wondering then, if we are so passionate as a university about the humanities, then why did we not just go ahead as UNISA to do this series on our own? Why do we need the African Humanities program? Well, there is power in collaboration. We know that despite our strengths in the humanities, we can achieve the best impact if we work with other like-minded people, perhaps with different expertise and different strengths. And it is best to do this across national and continental boundaries, since this is also the experience of the African diaspora. Collaborations such as this one that we are launching today enable us to do that which we cannot do on our own, or to do that which we can do better with others. Through collaboration, we can access complementary skills and knowledge, and stimulate new ideas. So we are very delighted that today we formally signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the African Humanities Program, because with it comes a host of authors, excellent authors who will make this series as prestigious as we want it to be. Today, we launched 3 titles, but our plan is that every year we'll launch at least 1 to 4 titles in this series. So colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. We welcome you, and we look forward to you buying the books and telling, and telling more people about the books and the series. Thank you very much.